Hello everyone, Sheik here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing the Masterpiece, or MPG-09 Super Ginrai. And my oh my, I was looking forward to him for a while because he looked like the perfect balance between G1 goodness, cartoon accuracy, and I guess complexity. I ordered him on Shozy Store, and I am glad to finally have a hold of him, and even more so, finally glad to get around after so long and finally getting reviewed, just like most of my more recent reviews. Anyway, without further ado, Super Ginrai! This is probably one of my favorite Masterpiece figures that they've done so far. He looks so cool in his truck mode, although I will say he's not 100% tune accurate, and I think these stick up a little bit too high, but overall, really cool. This is Power Master Optimus Prime, or Super Ginrai in his vehicle mode with his trailer. This is the cab, which is the transector for Ginrai. There's Ginrai, the Power Master, right there, or God Master, I guess, in the front. The two big old guns that Power Master, Optimus Prime, and Ginrai are known for. And then two big old blasters, which are pretty cool. They are done in black plastic. They are pinned together. Then you also come with two smaller rifles or guns. They're identical, just downscaled, mainly because they want to be able to use the guns for Ginrai and Super Ginrai without these looking too big on Ginrai. They can be combined to make larger weapon, although for whatever reason you have to do it like this, but you can combine them and make them a double tall rifle, not like it was in the show or anything, but just something that you can do. And then obviously you don't want to push too hard down on that, but these can store on the roof of the trailer like so. And he does come with quite a bit of accessories. He comes with the Power Master style head, which has the red eyes. He has a more angry fighting face for Super Ginrai. And then we also have the more Power Master Optimus Prime hands. And they're not too hard to swap out, and they're quite articulated. Not, I guess, on the same level of articulation as Commander Class Optimus Prime. Yep, so pretty decent there, although no rotation up there for the thumb. And then I do believe these are pieces for Power Master Optimus Prime for the shoulders in the Supermode. And then there is a little mini Ginrai doing the crossed arms. It is smaller than the figure that comes with this set. And here are these lightning things. I watched the show, I watched the anime all the way through, but I can't remember exactly what the story is behind this, but it is sort of like a energy blast lightning of some kind. And then he comes with a couple blast effect parts, which are really cool, except one of them broke. But they're just blasts and they look really cool. This one is still good. Hopefully it doesn't break off. But this one, as you can see, it broke. And that's very annoying and very unfortunate because I honestly don't know how it happened. Because I could have sworn that I had them in the package, or not packaging, but in a baggie. All the accessories in a baggie without this on the barrel of the gun. But somehow, I guess it broke off, or maybe before I put it in there, it broke off, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this, and just forgot about it, because I packed them away before I moved. And it stuck right in there. I tried to get it out. I did a little bit of damage around the edges of the barrel, but unfortunately there's not much I can do about it. So I did my best to try to get it out, but I decided to shave it down as much as I could, and then just well, color it with black Sharpie, so it's not so obvious. So obviously no more blast effects will be able to go on this gun, and this one is pretty much useless at this point unless I can find some other way to use it. Oh, and also if you look in here, you can pretty much see where everything goes for Super Ginrai. You can even see his head. But I still like it. I like it a lot. I feel like it's a good balance between Ginrai Jin, the third party one that I have. Absolutely, KFC Toys I think it is. But absolutely gorgeous, but absolutely horrendous to transform and try to stand up anyway, that thing. But I feel like this is a good balance between the original and that thing, that guy. Another thing you can do is you can open up the trailer, sort of like the original. Okay, there we are. And there is just a tiny bit of, I guess, storage if you want to use it. And I'm pretty sure you can close it up too, because as you can see, there is power right here. And then if you want to pull that up, there we are. See, so it is completely encased, although I'm not sure exactly what accessories would easily fit in there, but it is something you can do. You could even, I don't know, shove the little Ginrai in there, and maybe these little pieces, and maybe the hands. I think maybe the hands and other accessories could probably fit in there. I guess we'll go ahead and take a look at Ginrai. Another thing that other reviewers have pointed out is that this guy does not like to stay in very well. It's very much spring-loaded, although it still requires this to be pressed forward to transform into robot mode. And I guess since we're in truck mode, may as well take a nice look at the truck details. It just looks so cool. Absolutely love it. I wish that, considering that this is die-cast, like this part of the cab, sort of like on the original, is die-cast metal. Like, that's a lot of die-cast. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love that. But I wish, especially with the way these tabs are, I really wish they had made the chrome smokestacks die-cast metal as well, because these tabs, they go into here for Super Ginrai, but I'm afraid that those could easily snap off. Easily snap off. But I'd say he's a nice truck. The only thing that makes him not look like a normal truck is the fact that he only has 4 tires. One more thing that can be done, although there we are, gotta kind of pop it open, is you can put Ginrai into the cab. Come on. You put him right here, and you could also put him right here. And if I remember right in the cartoon, sometimes he would be in his truck driving it, and then they get a call to go somewhere, and then he would cross his arms like that in front of his chest, and then he would I think pop out, essentially transform into this right here, and then go on to the front and then transform into the robot mode, or in some cases just combine with the trailer. So let's go ahead and get this guy out. There we are. Nice little accessory. Not what I consider essential, but still cool nonetheless. And then this guy, again, to his robot mode. Not even going to bother with Fly the Bumblebee because it'd be way too fast, way too high-pitched squirrel or something. Chipmunk. And there we go. And he is really nice. Look, and there's his face with a little visor. You can see the little Autobot emblem on there. It's not super detailed, but you can definitely make it out. That's the Autobot emblem. Just love all this detail on the armor. And, of course, the engine on the back. But, man, he looks so cool. Nothing for the head. Arms can go out about that far. Can go forward and back. You can do the full splits. Like so far, that far. And not back very far at all. He has about 90-degree bend at the knee. A little bit more, probably. doesn't really have any ankle tiltage, but you can bend his feet, but that is for transformation. And here we have the base mode as such a base as it is, and it is pretty cool. This is how it's supposed to be per the instructions, but if you want to, you can raise that up to be like a little tower, or like that if you want it to be a gun. It's all up to you and how you want to do it. There's the little windows, there's Abba emblem, arrow painted on there. This isn't stickers, all that's just painted on there. It looks really cool. There's a couple ramps on either side, and just like the original, and I think even the KFC toy ones, the panels right here don't like to stay in place. They just like to droop down. That just seems to be a little bit of an issue with robots like this that have a little base mode, is that they just tend to well, they have their issues. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the base mode. So I think I'll go ahead and get it into the super mode. And here we have him in his super combined mode. I will say, I don't know what, it's a very simple step. It's just essentially fold the legs back up, wrap them around, and tab the smokestacks into the legs, and then slide down and into place. Although, easier said than done, considering how stiff the joints are on the knees. It's not like the original toy where it's just like very straightforward, fold it back, locks into place, and then you just slide it on in. This one is a bit more frustrating, but once you get it lined up, it should look like that. But for whatever reason, this tab was not going to line up. It was going up over here, and just everything was a little bit out of whack. But this guy does look really cool. I do like the way he looks. One thing that I do need to take a look at, especially before getting the combined God Bomber, which will eventually combine with him, which I really want to get that, but I need to save up a little bit more money first before I get that guy, but definitely looking forward to it. And apparently though, the springs in here can be a little tough and could potentially be causing damage. Who knows? It could already be somewhat stressed in there and I don't even know it. But they did say that it'd be a good idea to open it up, take a look at it, maybe even remove the spring, or if you don't remove the spring, at least clip it a little bit to make it a little bit weaker so it doesn't cause damage to your figure. But I will say this is a pretty cohesive look, and you don't have the problem of this just flopping back like on the KFC one. That one sucks in that regard, really does. But looks so cool. It's a shame. It really is a shame. Anyway, this is the standard face that he comes with. Looks really cool. And then as you can see, it comes off pretty easily. But you just slide that off, and there it is. And then you can just slide that back on. Although with how easy it slides off, it does give me a little bit of concern that it could get lost if you're not careful. One downside, just given the way he combines, is that the platform looks a little bit weird, and it can come undone pretty easily, but still looks really cool, and I really like that. The head is on a mushroom peg and a swivel, and it can look up and down, so there isn't really wibbly wobbly because of that design. The arms are on a ratchet at the shoulder, which is nice. Soft ratchet over here. You can go about that far. Does have butterfly joint, so he can get a lot of range of motion there, which is really nice. You get a bicep rotation. You get just a little over 90-degree bend at the elbow. A wrist rotation, and I already showed off hand articulation earlier. You get a nice ratchet as the waist rotation. Legs can go forward about that far. Back, not terribly far because of the backpack, but he could if it wasn't in the way. Can do the full splits, but you can kind of see that from the base mode. Thigh rotation on a stiff mushroom, and over 90-degree bend at the knee because of a double joint there, which is pretty nice. And he does have one click of ankle tiltage, which is more than the original can claim for sure. Although that one can still stand with legs akimbo. Now I will say, the hip joints on one side, on this side, do seem really tight. So who knows, that one might self-destruct if I'm not careful. So we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the combined mode, aside from his guns, which he holds on to relatively well, but it doesn't take much to knock him out of his grip. But you can hold both guns, and if you wanted to, if you ever so desired, you could also put the little guns on top of there. But there you go, and he can blast away his enemies, so that's pretty cool. And I guess for just a little size comparison, this is how tiny Ginrai is, assuming that you want to say that this is the size of a standard human. as a preview for a future review that I may or may not get around to depending on my mood, here we have him with Ragin from KFC. One last thing that can be done with the truck mode is you can, if you just want to have the cab, you can put the guns right here. And here we have Ginrai in his robot mode, and Ginrai, I guess Ginrai, Transector, and big old combined super mode over here, just so you can see how they compare to each other. I guess I can go ahead, well, not that you can see it, but let's go ahead and let's adjust this up. And hopefully we can see all of them together. At least mostly all of them. There we are. So, as you can see, it gets progressively bigger. And I understand why. Some people have complained about this for Ginrai, the smaller form, for being significantly smaller than Masterpiece Optimus Prime. But I understand why. Because if they did him closer to the size of this guy, well, I don't think Super Ginrai would have been in a reasonable price range for most people, and even, to be honest, probably isn't too reasonable for a lot of people. Like, anyway, and I think that's why I do believe I got him on Shozi's store, so I was able to get him a little bit cheaper. It took a while again, but it was a bit cheaper to do it that way. But yeah, it looks really cool. I really like this. I think that he is a little chonky, like especially if you look from the side and in the back, you'll see this. Now, obviously, typically he'd be there, not just a grill right there, but this guy pops off, and I thought it'd be nice just to show all three of them together. But you can see he's pretty big backpack back here, and then he has little tire flaps on the side, and he feels, oh man, he feels like a lot like the original toy in a lot of ways. Just the way the thighs are shaped, the legs, the ankles, even though there's a lot more articulation here. I just love the way this looks. It just feels like the perfect balance between trying to look like the cartoon and the chonkiness of the original figure. And I just love that so much. And I do like this little faux grill right there. It just looks so cool. And I guess we can take a closer look at that noggin. Obviously that is pretty much a dead ringer for Optimus Prime, with maybe a slightly more youthful appearance. But yeah, I think it's maybe slightly simplified on the ear antennae, but yeah, just like I said, a slightly more youthful looking Optimus Prime. And yeah, it looks really nice. I keep saying that over and over and over, I know, but he is. Arms can do a full 360. They can go out that far. Get a bit of a butterfly, although it is pretty loose. So if you're trying to do anything with his arms, you're probably going to pull that out a little bit, but it is nice to have. Bicep rotation, like I said, if you do anything, it's going to pull that out. But bicep rotation, wrist rotation, the hands open up like that. Waist rotation, but pretty much most of his joints are friction and not ratchet. And then legs can go forward that far on a ratchet, back that far on a ratchet. And what's really nice about this is that in order to give you better articulation going back, there is like a little hinge that swings down to get you a little bit more articulation there, which is quite nice. He can do a little bit more than the full splits, which is really nice. Also on a ratchet, which you can see right there. Thigh rotation. That's not his normal knee joint. Like, that's more, I'd say, for combination, but his actual knee joint tabs into place. But if you untab it, you can get over 90 degree bend at the knee, and then if you decide to undo the combination point, you get a little bit more. But that is pretty nice. Although, like I said, it is a little annoying that you kind of have to untab his knees if you want him to have the knee bend. And this sometimes comes a little loose, like his little backpack. Come on. Come on. Get back in there. There we are. That is one downside of the die cast, is that since it is heavier than everything else, it does tend to kind of work its way loose a little bit. There we are. And then, where was I? Oh yes, knees, and then ankle tiltage. He does have a lot of that, and you can also bend his feet. And I just love the way the feet look. They look like almost like little boots, and I just love it. It looks so nice. So yeah, one last thing. You can make little Ginrai hold his guns, although it does, in my opinion, look a little goofy because so much of the handle sticks up above his hand like that. Even with the smaller guns, he does look a little goofy, but I still like the way it looks. It looks really nice. Okay. Let's try and get that. And you get the idea. And then I think these, when they go into his hand, whoops, and that's the thing with the tabs, is that they don't like to stay in very well. But apparently you can tab the lightning into his hand, and then he can throw lightning, force lightning, like a Sith Lord or something. Although I don't know why he'd want to be a Sith Lord or anything like that. Oh, and one thing about the transformation is that it says to flip these out after you've already collapsed the back up. But come on. But in my opinion, it is so much easier to do that step before you collapse it all up, because it's hard to reach in there to flip them out otherwise. I will say that he is a little wonky, especially with, like I said, with the die cast, but he does have a little bit of a, I guess, a pseudo ab. Oh, wait. Okay, he does have an ab crunch. He actually has an ab crunch. Hasbro gave him an ab crunch. Okay, that is actually really cool. I wasn't paying attention that much, but yeah, that is pretty cool. So you can get a more agile, aggressive looking pose. Oh man, that's so cool. So that's about it for Transformers MPG-09 Super Ginrai. He is really cool. I'm so glad that I was able to get this figure. And it's well worth the money in my opinion. There are some minor issues with it, but I'd say that overall, those issues are way outbalanced or outweighed by the positives that this guy has. And I think Masterpiece has gone in another direction where they're going for a little bit more simpler transformations, just because the overcomplicated ones really take the fun out of it. And this figure is just really fun to mess around with. Like I said, I highly recommend him if you're able to get him, and I really look forward to getting the God Bomber so that I can make God Ginrai. And if you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. Until next time, have a good one, everyone.